Hey everyone, it's Kaitlin. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well, and I'm super pumped for you guys to hang out with me today and get all cozy and comfortable and enjoy a little journaling session where I set up my bullet journal spreads for the month of February. Before I jump into the actual plan with me and spreads themselves, I thought I would show you the kind of main bread and butter of this setup, which is going to be kind of reoccurring throughout all my spreads. And this is these two kind of geometric, shapy designs. One of them is just a simple dome, which you can make by tracing a circular object and extending the lines downward so it creates a dome shape. And the other one is the exact same as the first dome shape. The only difference is that after I draw the shape, I go in with a ruler and measure 1 centimeter in and draw another dome shape, so it's kind of this hollow dome moment, which creates a lot of nice kind of visual interest in the spread. Because I don't have too many pieces of this pink paper, I'm going to be using the inner dome that I cut out when I create the hollow dome. And I'm also going to be using a couple of other shapes which are kind of similar to these ones. Mainly I'm going to be using a dome that has circular ends on both sides, and I'm going to also be using a smaller version of that. So these are all the pieces that I made in advance before I started all my spreads. I'm just using these pink post-it notes that I had lying around, which unfortunately the store that makes them doesn't sell these anymore. But you can definitely get the same kind of color by printing out a pink wash of color on a piece of printer paper, and that should work just as well. So jumping into the main setup, I'm first starting my spreads by creating this quote cover page to kind of kick off the month of February on the right note. I was thinking of doing a really kind of deep and wisdom-based quote, but to be honest, I just didn't really want to letter something super long, so I decided to just go with something super simple and easy, and this says, "Love yourself," in that tone apparently. Only in that voice can this quote be said apparently. But I'm just lettering that with my favorite brush pen to use in my bullet journal, which is my Tombow Fudenosuke hardtip. And then I'm going in and writing February 2021 with my go-to gel pen. I personally like using the 0.5 Muji gel pen in a Pentel metal-bodied pen. Then I'm going in with 2 domes and 1 hollow dome, and I'm gluing these into my journal. What I like to do to glue these down is I first place it, and then I kind of rub it around with my finger, and then finally, to make sure it's really secure, I go in and put a lot of pressure on it with my sweater, as you can see here. I just find this works the best for me and my glue stick, but feel free to use a adhesive roller if you have that around. That would definitely be a bit cleaner of a process, but I have a glue stick, so I figured I might as well use that up. Now I'm just trimming down the pieces of the paper that went over the edge. And I'm going in with a really old brush pen that's kind of running out of ink and making these kind of wiggle shapes, let's just call them that. And these are going to be the second kind of element to this design. So this entire design is based around these pink domes and these black squiggles to create what I think is a really fun, calming, abstract theme for February. After my quote page, I'm going in and I'm setting up my monthly calendar. Previous to this month, I had been setting up vertical monthly calendars, very similar to what the bullet journal method kind of uses. And I've been doing that for the past almost 2 years, but because quarantine is causing me to have a much sparser schedule, I decided to change up my calendar layout this month just so I had something that fit better with the amount of events I had going on. the amount of events being practically no events. Except really friends' birthdays. That's kind of the only thing I'm honestly using my calendar for at the moment. So I decided to create a little mini calendar on the left. This is a 2x2 square calendar. And the cool thing about that is the way I made this, there's one dot from the dot grid in the middle. And what I plan to do is when I have an event on that day, I'm going to use a marker to make a little circle around the dot, and I just think that'll look really, really cool. So I'm going in and making my calendar, which is a perfect rectangle. I know a lot of people are excited about the perfect rectangle, but I wish my calendar was a square. I'm not a fan of rectangles. I kind of like things when they're all evenly the same size, but hey, you know, maybe this will give me an opportunity to appreciate rectangles, you know? And after I've made my rectangle, I'm going in with a really, really small fine liner to write the numbers of the month. This is a 0.01 pigment liner by Staedtler. In addition to having the marker circle to indicate the day I have an event, I'll also be writing the day and the event itself on the left side of the page, just in a really simple kind of list style. Right above where I'm planning to write all my events down, I'm lettering the title Feb, which is short for February. I actually didn't really like how this turned out, which is, you know, part of life. Sometimes you don't like the way things come out, but I always like to think if you don't like something, either accept it or change it. And for me, I decided to change it, and I covered it up with another dome, and I lettered 02 in the bottom right corner. And I just really like the minimal and simple feel that it brings to the spread. Alright, now that I have my calendar done, I need to get a couple more spreads out of the way that are going to allow me to be focused and productive for the rest of the month. And the first one of those is my tasks and due date spread. This is essentially a space where I can write down all of my monthly tasks, which I do on the left page, as well as all of my due dates for both my graduate school assignments, as well as video due dates for this YouTube channel. And that is what I do on the right side of the page. I mainly like to record my tasks and due dates in just a simple list. The only caveat to that is I like to use an Alistair method task list. I have a whole video going over the details of the Alistair method, but essentially it uses a column for each week of the month, and under each column you write the signifier for tasks, which is a bullet, under the weeks that you want to get that thing done. I really like this because it allows me to plan ahead for the month and not just write down all the things I have to do, but also kind of plan when I want to do stuff, so I'm not just scrambling to do everything in the last week of February, because that would seriously stress me out. At the bottom, I decided to put the big double-ended circular dome, and that's just because I usually don't fill up a whole page, so I figured this would be a good spot to add a little bit of decoration, and I'm finishing this off with another squiggle. The companion spread to my tasks and due dates layout is my habits and notes spread, which I set up right after my tasks and due date spread. This guy is a spot where I like to record my habits that I want to keep track of in the month. For me, this includes stuff like working out, reading, socializing, because I can kind of be a bit of a loner sometimes if I don't check myself, painting, and reading. Did I say reading? I think I did. I don't know. I also like to record my monthly focuses. So this is a spot where I kind of create a 3-column table, and each column is for goals, projects, and fun stuff that I want to do during the month. This was previously on my monthly spread when I did a vertical calendar, but because of the new layout, I moved it over here. And then lastly, on the far right-hand side at the bottom, I record my wins, which is a spot for me to kind of stay present and appreciate the stuff I'm doing instead of focusing on the future and giving myself a pat on the back for everything that I'm doing, as well as allowing myself to kind of appreciate stuff that's happening in the present and kind of express gratitude here and there. By far the most tedious part about setting up this spread is drawing all the circles for the habit tracker. And I actually realized, ironically, after I finished drawing all the circles, that I could have just not drawn any circles and used my marker that I use in my monthly spread to make the little circles on the monthly layout in my habit tracker and just make the circles on the days I actually do stuff. And that probably would have looked just as good. So if you want to save a little time in your journal and you don't want to do all this tedious circle drawing, that might be a really good alternative that I honestly wish I'd remembered and figured out before I drew all these circles. Now I'm flipping all the way to the back of my journal, which is where I have my 1 line a day section. This is kind of a unique spread. I don't know if a lot of people know what this is, so I will explain it in case anyone's like, what? What do you mean 1 line a day? What is going on? Okay, this is what it is. I like to keep my 1 line day spreads at the back of my journal because I know that I only need my 6 months in this layout. And by 6 months, I mean that for each 2 pages, I like to make a title page for the month on the left side. And on the right side, I make a vertical calendar where I record one thing that happened each day. This is my very simple, easy, and very low time commitment version of memory keeping. And I really like doing this because it's something really fun to look at the end of the month and get a really holistic view of what actually happened. Because before I started doing these memory spreads, I had no idea where the month went and I had no idea what kind of happened. So these spreads really help me remember all those little moments that are really kind of precious. Of course, if you're looking for a vertical calendar for your monthly layout, you can definitely just snatch this spread up and put it in your monthly log section and just go ahead and use this if mini calendars aren't your thing. I like to finish off this spread by drawing a super loose and chill border. There's no pressure in really any part of my journaling process, but especially my borders. I like to keep them kind of purposely imperfect and not necessarily messy, but just kind of loose and carefree. And I think it gives a really nice kind of look to the spread and it makes it look a little more like handmade, which of course it's handmade, it's your journal, but I just kind of like the feel it gives it. So now I have all of my big monthly spreads out of the way, and I thought to end off this video I would show you guys how I set up my, I hesitate to call them weekly spreads because they're technically daily logs, and this is, I guess, what I use as a weekly spread as well, and this is called a rolling daily. A rolling daily is essentially where you set up regular daily logs just like the bullet journal method, but with a little bit of added spice, if you will. So before I set up my daily logs for the week, I take the left-hand page and use it as a giant brain dump where I can record my weekly task list, projects I'm working on, as well as upcoming due dates, because as a grad school student, I like to kind of keep those at the forefront of my mind so I don't forget them. For my weekly task list, I make an Alistair method checklist so I can schedule my tasks ahead of time so I have a bit of a plan going into the week and things aren't all over the place. The right hand side is where I start my daily logs, so here's a look at what that looks like kind of filled in so you guys can get an idea of what the heck I do every day in my journal. Alright, and that is my entire February bullet journal setup. If you're interested in recreating this setup, I'll have all my supplies linked below so you can check that out if you're interested. And if you don't want to recreate it and you were just here to enjoy some chill journaling YouTube content, I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. And until then, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I hope you all are staying happy, healthy, and strong through this winter. Or maybe it's not winter for you, and then you're just enjoying the sunshine. All right, guys, that is it. Let me stop my rambling, and let me sign out here. Bye, everyone.